listening to The Geek Awakens, where the talk is geekier than trying to take a 2-day bereavement period after watching The Walking Dead season premiere. And here's the host. It's Mitch.
Apparently we took like a 4-minute bereavement period. Because that's the reason why we're running late.
Right, yeah. Are we going to lead with this?
No, that's actually,
okay.
We're going to save this for last because it's going to be spoilerific.
That's a valid point. No, that's a definite valid point. So we are going to talk about the Walking Dead season premiere. It is going to be at the end of the show, and there are going to be spoilers. But we're not going to do that just yet. Let's go ahead and start off with whatever you've got to talk about.
Yeah. First thing to talk about happened late last week, but it's still so exciting. Donald Glover has been cast as a young Lando Calrissian in the Han Solo Solo movie.
Nice.
Yeah. Which
it's always fun to say the Han Solo movie.
I mean, I guess you could just say the Han Solo. Well,
no.
Anyway, which I cannot think of another person in Hollywood right now who would make a better Lando,
right,
than Donald. I mean, they could go back in time and get a young Billy D. Williams, bring him back here, and have him play Lando, and I still would probably be like, let's go Donald. Let's go Donald.
Wow, you have pretty strong feelings about it, huh?
This may be the only Donald I support in 2017. Or 2016 for that matter.
That is fair.
But yeah, so Glover spoke to, I thought this was awesome. Glover spoke to Ellen recently. So that when he found out he got the part, he told his dad immediately. Because, and part of it was that his dad gave him a Lando action figure when he was a kid.
Okay.
That was one of his first toys. And then his mom was in the back, as Donald was telling his dad this. His mom was in the back saying, "Don't mess it up. Don't mess this up." So
nice.
He's got some work ahead of him.
I'm excited about it. Either way.
Yeah. I think especially after casting not a complete unknown to us. I'd never heard of him, but I mean, casting a relative unknown as Han Solo, I think casting somebody who, I guess, Donald Glover is not a complete household name yet,
right?
But I think he's big enough where this was a good move.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. So, yeah, no, I definitely agree with your thoughts there. I think that I don't know that I would go as far as to say if we couldn't just go back in time. And I don't know, maybe not there. I don't think I'd go that far, but I do like the selection of the character.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. Moving on. It was also announced that Tim Miller, who directed the first Deadpool, has left Deadpool 2 over creative differences with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh.
Yep. So, yeah, apparently the two fought over what kind of tone the movie should have, as well as who should play Cable.
Interesting.
Yeah. When Ryan Reynolds was negotiating for Deadpool 2, he wanted casting approval along with some other creative control.
Okay.
So the director, he initially wanted Kyle Chandler as Cable.
Okay.
Which, and I don't know how familiar you are with him. He's one of those, I can always picture his face. He was in Friday Night Lights. He was the coach in that show.
Okay, I gotcha.
But he's got one of those faces, and that I know I should know him, but I can never think of where I know him from.
He played in, he was in Super 8.
Early Edition.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yes. I guess he was on The Wolf of Wall Street as well.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so Ryan Reynolds didn't want him, and because he has a say in casting, Marvel as well, or not Marvel, 20th Century Fox, I'm sorry, and Tim Miller couldn't just be like, oh well, too bad.
Right.
So. But yeah, so, and then another thing, like, as far as, like, the tone, Reynolds wanted more of a, I guess, kind of more of the same when it came to, like, the raunchy humor and everything that earned Deadpool the R rating, whereas Miller wanted more of a polished and stylized sequel.
That's it's a tough balance. I don't know which I'd like better, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the first Deadpool. So to say that we don't want to do the exact same thing, to me says, okay, that's probably a good idea, but at the same time, that's also why he made so much money.
Exactly.
So I can see why there was a disagreement there.
Yeah. So, let's see. Also, a little bit of still comic book, well, more TV as opposed to movie news. But the second season of Jessica Jones is kind of starting to pull itself together, and it was announced that all 13 episodes are going to be directed by women.
Oh.
Yeah.
That, like, to me doesn't say, oh, that's good or bad. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall it's a good thing.
I guess a show about a woman, who better to direct it than a woman?
Yeah. Yeah, the first season had, how many? I know the first season had quite a few episodes that were directed by women. Well, it had 3 female directors.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I think overall it's a good thing.
Right.
It shows that, I guess, it has better representation.
Right.
That's not to say that a show centered around a woman has to be directed by a woman, but why not?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like that. I don't have a preference either way. From what I understand, I haven't watched the show, but from what I understand, it's a good show thus far. Obviously, they're working on season 2, so.
Right.
So, yeah.
Let's see. All right. So, in case you haven't figured out, neither Matt nor Tabitha are here tonight. It's a thing. But Matt did throw us a few stories, and you were going to talk about them. First off is an announcement from DC for their big event next year.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, they teamed up for Batman from the New 52.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, now those of you who don't know, I'm not a massive comic book guy yet, so I haven't gotten a chance to read any of them. But from what I understand, it was a really good version.
It was a great take on Batman. I hadn't read the whole thing, but what I've read, I really enjoyed.
Well, as of, I guess, recently, Snyder said that the two of them will work together again on a 2017 DC summer crossover event that's got Batman square in the spotlight, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I go back and forth. I mean, yes, I am excited to see the two of them back together, and working on a Batman story. Awesome. At the same time, I mean, they haven't been that far removed from it. I think something like this would have been really cool maybe 5 years down the road.
Sure. It would sound a lot cooler. I'll tell you that for sure. Like, oh my gosh, they're getting back together. Awesome. just fresh out of the New 52, not so much.
Yeah, not that I'm complaining at all. I am very anxious to see more details about this event, what it's going to entail, things like that.
Right. Sorry, I keep reading through here, and I still get jazzed about this whole Justice League Power Ranger crossover.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
That may be my first comic series that I read all the way through.
So, speaking of comic series, they when Marvel announced their new Marvel Now Again Twice Over initiative, there were, and we even talked about it, there was a lot of speculation because there weren't a whole lot of X-Men titles.
Right.
About the biggest one was the Death of X miniseries that's actually going on right now. But X-Men fans can now finally sleep easy. They have announced Resurrection, which is going to launch in the spring. And from that, we're going to have 7 X-Men titles.
Okay.
There's X-Men Gold and X-Men Black, or Blue. I don't know why I said black. X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold, which will be the primary team storylines. And then outside of that, you're going to have titles for characters such as Cable, Iceman, and Jean Grey. You're going to have Generation X and Weapon X. Generation X is most likely going to be like the teenaged, the younger mutants who are still going through the mutant school and all that, like
right.
learning the ropes. But I guess what's most interesting, and that's all the information that we have right now. We don't have any information on who's going to be the creators on these or anything like that. But the Iceman title does kind of stick out for me because we have 2 Icemans running around in the Marvel Universe right now. We've got the one that's been here, forever, who's the established character, and then there's the other one who is that same guy from the past brought into the future.
Oh.
Yeah, that was something that Marvel did a few years ago, where Beast brought in the original group. He went back in time, brought the original group of X-Men back into the present, and then they, as teenagers, got stuck in the present.
I love that kind of stuff, personally.
So I'm going to be interested to see which Iceman, and it might even just be both, that this title will center on.
Right. Sorry, I'm messing with my headphones. I inadvertently unplugged them.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm a terrible person for myself. It's like I have to hear what's going on or something.
Right. So, let's see. Also in comics news, Wizard World, back in 2015, Wizard World had 24 conventions. This year, they've had 19. Next year, they're cutting back even more.
What?
Yes. They are... Oh, I'm sorry. I may have misspoke. It's 19 this year and then 16 next year.
Wow.
Yeah. They are bringing back Nashville. The convention, not the series Nashville. Just so that we're all on the same page.
It's probably a good call. I mean, let's be honest.
Right. Yeah. Wizard World had a convention in Nashville in 2015, but not in 2016. They are also adding Oklahoma City, Orlando, and Albuquerque. And they are taking off Las Vegas, Richmond, and Tulsa.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Las Vegas may be a tough venue for something like Wizard World. I would see it for like the San Diego Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
moving to Vegas. And we've talked about that on the show.
Yeah.
There's really not a lot of place for that one to grow. So it needs something. But yeah, I don't know that it would work for something that's still fairly... I don't want to say small. It's a decent con.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as locally, St. Louis and Chicago both kept theirs. St. Louis runs April 7th through the 9th. And then Chicago is August 24th through the 27th.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I really wanted to go this year. You guys went, and you guys had a good time, right?
Yeah.
I can't wait for next year. I do plan on going, but more than anything, I'm going to C2E2 this year.
Yes, as am I for sure. Bought my ticket yesterday.
I have not yet bought my ticket because, well, I just don't have the money right now.
Right.
But we've got a little time. I'm hoping it doesn't sell out as soon as I think it might.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I'm going to buy it no later than the first of the year.
And I don't know. I go back and forth. On the one hand, I can see it not selling out. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it does. And that's part of the reason. And like I said, I mean, I didn't expect it to sell out yesterday by any stretch of the imagination. But I didn't want to wait.
Right.
So I got right on it. Also, for sure, did not want to wait on lodging.
Yeah, you covered that.
Got that taken care of.
So. When I do get my tickets, I then have to give you money for
well, you know.
Little things.
Yeah. So.
No, I'm still super excited about it though. My phone keeps vibrating. I'm sorry. When we get a chance, I do have a few things in like tech news.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready for.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and give us one of that, and then we will move on to what will hopefully be a brand new weekly segment.
Okay, good. This one, and I not a lot of people know about this. Google, for the last 5 years, has been developing something called fiber. It's going to be a new internet access for everybody. They've been in development with it for some time now, but they have put a big pause on it. The head of fiber has stepped down, and they have cut their staff by 50%.
Oh, wow.
So for most people, we all know that usually just means it's not going to happen. It's Google. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And if after this anybody can make it happen, it is Google.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a lot of other companies out there. I would say yes, you guys should be an internet service provider. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, Google does a lot of things really well. But at the same time, there are some things that Google does that makes you scratch your head.
Right.
You know, Google Plus being the prime example. I mean, their attempt at social networking, it never caught on, and they're still trying to make it a thing.
Right.
You know, I am familiar with Google Fiber. Admittedly, it's not something I'm super familiar with because it's not something that we have around here or that we are going to get around here in the immediate
near future.
So it didn't affect me. So it was one of those. Well, I'll read into it when the time is right.
Just to get people an idea of what it is, because I just realized not everybody knows what fiber is. Fiber is it's internet, obviously, but it's supposed to be one of the fastest internet in the world. What it's going to be giving is for around $70 a month, you're going to be getting speeds at 1 gigabits per second. Just so you're aware, most people in the standard home get around 5 to 10 megabits per second. So that is literally 100 times faster. 100, yes, 10 if we're going to 10. 100 times faster than your home internet. Even here, we have 80 megabits per second download speeds, and that would still be almost or over 10 times faster.
Wow.
So just giving you some ideas, and I say we have that here in my house. Most people, like I said, they don't have that super fast internet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 1 gigabit per second downloads is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I haven't clocked how long it would take to download like a movie or something, but I imagine it's 100 times faster. But a lot of that also depends on the server. And that's something else people don't understand. While faster internet speeds may be great for you when you're wanting to send something within your own home over your network, it would be great. You can send an entire movie up to your computer in a matter of seconds, from like one computer to another. I say that. But most servers aren't equipped to handle such quick speeds. So it'd be great for your Netflix, YouTube, stuff like that. It's amazing for things like that. There's gonna be like next to no buffer time. But for gaming and stuff, if it's online, you've got to be able to keep up with the servers. Now, stuff like World of Warcraft, they'll be fine with it. But other servers, not so much. But 100 megabits per second, or gigabits per, 1 gigabit per second, is pretty fantabulous. And Mitch also unplugged his headphones.
I am tangled right now. Okay, we're good. We're good. I thought I was going to have to live here because it would never get undone.
Well, on the bright side, the couch is super comfy.
Right. That is true.
Anywho, what else we got?
So, all right. So we're starting a new segment, or we're going to try to start a new segment. And I'm kind of bummed that our fellow geeks aren't here to also partake in this conversation.
Yes.
But it is what it is. So the idea is to pit two characters against each other. Now, they can have similar attributes, such as the two characters that we're going to talk about, where you can kind of see the connective tissue as to why you would put those two together.
Right.
Or it can be somebody completely off the wall, random, whatever, such as, well, a similar comparison that I gave when I was talking to you about it. Pikachu versus Batman.
Right.
The only rule that I want with this is that the two characters can't be in the same universe, so we're not going to ever have the Batman versus Superman debate.
Thank God.
Yeah. Or, so like different universes, different franchises or whatever. Or like they can't, to the best of our knowledge, they can't have ever met before. So you've got something like Freddy and Jason, two characters who do live in separate franchises, but they have met in multiple movies.
There's been a crossover.
Yeah. So, and I mean, and there may come a time when, where somebody that we choose, they have met before, but like I said, if we don't know about it, it's okay.
Right. Fair enough. So what have we got this week? Who are our combatants?
All right. So, in the spirit of Halloween, because Halloween is only a few days away,
right?
I'm pitting Chucky from Child's Play movies versus Annabelle, who was a spin-off or something of the Conjuring movies.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Chucky for a second.
Okay.
All right. So,
well, let's establish what Chucky is first of all. Chucky is simply just a doll with the spirit of a serial killer.
Yeah.
In essence, now there's more to it. I realize. I'll let you get into that. Let's let you do the talking.
All right. So you're right. Chucky is a doll that has the spirit of a serial killer who is into voodoo, mind you.
Yes.
So he was on the run from the police, takes refuge in a toy shop, and he gets shot by a police officer. The serial killer, Charles Lee Ray, he knows he's about to die, so he does his voodoo ritual or whatever, and his spirit goes into what was called a good guy doll.
Good guy.
So later on, Karen Barkley buys that same good guy doll for her son Andy's 6th birthday. That doll now goes by Chucky.
Yes.
Kills Andy's babysitter. Of course, the police think that Andy was actually the one who did it and just tried to pawn it off on this inanimate object.
Right.
One thing leads to another. And then Chucky eventually finds out that the only way for him to get out of this doll's body is to inhabit the soul of the first person that he saw, which was Andy.
Sucks for Andy.
I know, right? You know what? Complete and total tangent. You know what I just realized?
What?
What was the kid's name in Toy Story?
Yeah, I was thinking it as you were talking. I'm like, man, forget Andy and toys that don't stay like dead. What the hell? Jeez.
So anyway,
look, I'm just saying, you never hear about his babysitter. That's all I'm saying.
that is true. Valid
Sorry,
point.
go on.
Valid point. Karen, Andy's mom, does eventually realize that Chucky is a living creature now, and she finds out that the only way to kill him is through the heart.
Right.
Okay. And so eventually after the big fight or whatever, she does shoot him multiple times, and then is shot in the heart. We think he's dead. Obviously, after 5 sequels, he ain't dead, but
Right.
so that's
How did he come back in the first one? Wasn't he like melted down and created into a new Chucky doll?
that sounds right, but
I mean, I forget. It's been
yeah,
so long.
it's been a long time. And after in a couple of minutes, you're gonna hear why Chucky terrifies me. And anyway, so
Okay.
that's Chucky.
Right.
All right. So now Annabelle.
Yes.
Annabelle. Back in the 70s, John and Mia Form were expecting their first child.
Yes.
John gives Mia. Now, to be fair, I was going to watch Annabelle last night, but I couldn't. It wasn't on Netflix or HBO Go or anything,
Gotcha.
and I still haven't seen the movie. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay.
So this is going to be an interesting...
Yeah. I mean, I know enough about it, like, when I saw the previews and everything, I knew it kind of creeped me out, but I never got around to watching it. But anyway.
Right. All right.
So, John gives her a doll, and then after that, Mia hears a murder occurring at their neighbor's house.
Okay.
Okay. Mia calls the police, and then she is attacked by a woman who's holding the doll. The woman ends up killing herself. A drop of her blood falls on the doll's face.
Right.
So now strange things happen whenever the doll is around. Mia gives birth to a girl named Leah. Mia and Leah. That's adorable. It's adorbs.
Totes.
They move into an apartment, and then they find the doll that they thought they got rid of it.
Right.
But it's back. So they contact a detective, and they realize that now the woman going back... I'm sorry, I kind of missed this point. The woman who slit her throat, who killed herself after attacking Mia, her name is Annabelle.
Gotcha.
Okay? So, they find out that Annabelle was in a cult that seeks to summon a demon by claiming a soul.
Okay.
All right. So they contact their church's priest, who tries to take the doll with him to church. Annabelle's ghost attacks him. Doll disappears. There is another side character that Mia meets during while trying to kind of get more information and things like that. Her name is Evelyn.
Okay.
Now, Evelyn is guilt-ridden because she had a daughter who died in a car accident, and Evelyn always blamed herself.
Okay.
All right. So, at the climax of Annabelle, Mia is about ready to jump out of a window with Annabelle to save her own daughter's life. All right. But Evelyn takes Annabelle and decides to make the sacrifice herself to kind of atone for her daughter's death.
Sure.
All right. After that, and the doll is purchased by somebody else. So the doll still is around. The ending text of the movie states that there is a real Annabelle doll that resides in a case at Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum, and is blessed by a priest twice a month to keep the public safe.
And then they just recently came out with another film following that, and so that's kind of a fun fact.
Yeah.
So
now, here's my thing with Annabelle. It's probably not completely accurate, but Annabelle is kind of based on a true story.
Okay.
There is an actual doll that in Ed and Lorraine's Warren's museum that is claimed to be haunted. It's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Interesting.
That and the Warrens, they are demonologists, and that they say that it is possessed. Legend has it that a student nurse was given the Raggedy Ann doll in 1970, but the doll behaved strangely, and a psychic medium told the student that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a dead girl named Annabelle Higgins.
Interesting.
So, the nurse and her roommate tried to keep the doll at first, but eventually became frightened by the doll's malicious behavior and contacted the Warrens. They removed the doll, put it in the museum, and pronounced it demonically possessed. So, take that for what you will. I mean, I doubt that Raggedy Ann doll is for sure legitimately possessed, but
now if Grizz were here, he would totally be like, of course it's possessed. Come on now. No, I'm with you on that. Now, if we're just going off the movies, and this doll is actually possessed, so let's first we got Chucky, who is just a soul of a serial killer who lives in a doll.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Annabelle, whose soul is attached to a doll.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the first thing. Chucky moves, talks, walks. Annabelle just sits there and looks creepy and eventually shows up somewhere else. Do they ever act? They never actually, from what I understand, they never actually show Annabelle doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just things happen. Which could make Annabelle significantly more unpredictable. Because she could be sitting across from you in the room and you could get killed and she doesn't do anything.
Good point. I didn't think about that.
That being said, it seems like it'd be much easier to get rid of Annabelle.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting rid of Annabelle, but at the same time, I mean, you're not. From what I've read and everything, it's hard to actually stop her. I mean, obviously, the Warrens have done a fair job, I guess. But maybe not, because there's a sequel coming out next year.
Right.
When I was doing a little bit of research with both of these movies, apparently there is a sequel for Annabelle and there's a Child's Play 7, both coming out next year.
Jeez. Well, I guess, I don't know. Obviously, we're having an issue killing Chucky as well.
A huge issue killing Chucky.
I mean, it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
He's still around.
So, fun story. When I was a kid. And this is why for me, Chucky wins. Because he is so terrifying. Do you remember My Buddy?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was a kid, I had a My Buddy doll that looked a lot like me. And we were best buds. Then I saw the first Child's Play movie. I was not able to be in the same room with that doll. It terrified me. And not just for like a few months until I realized that it's just a movie. No, for like way longer than I should have. like I don't think she still has it, but if my mom were to still have that doll and like were to bring it out next time I visit her or whatever, like I would be okay being in the room with that thing now, but I'd give it the side eye a couple of times.
So you're really terrified of this My Buddy doll, huh?
I do not like Chucky at all. And he is the reason why, yeah, I do not like this My Buddy doll.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for me, though, in all seriousness, Chucky does still win because while you're right, Annabelle can be more unpredictable, Chucky can do more stuff. Chucky has a better track record.
Yeah. I don't know. We're only at this movie 2 for Annabelle. Maybe there's going to be 20 of those. Who knows?
Good point. But as of right now,
right, no,
he has a much higher kill record, a much higher track record.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go the opposite on this one. I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna go with Annabelle because of the fact that she's so unpredictable. She can be in a room with you and you could get killed without her doing anything. More importantly, you could be in a room by yourself and she could appear in that room. Because the laws of Annabelle are different than the laws of Chucky. Chucky's still bound by physics. Whereas Annabelle, I don't believe, is. I mean, she just appears places. So she could just appear in the room that you're in, and then you could get killed. So that's my thought. I guess my thought is I'm gonna go with the more paranormal route with this and say, you know what? If she's not bound by the laws of physics, that makes her more dangerous.
Okay.
So, and I'm happy to disagree with you. I agree to disagree because I think you make valid points as well. But that's where I'm at with it.
All right. So
everybody out there, if you're listening and you think, you know, okay, I have my own opinion, feel free. If you're watching this on Facebook, put it right here on the Facebook comments. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, also put it on the comments here on YouTube, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So there's that. What else do we have to talk about?
Well, one last parting moment. So I was going to hand the baton off to somebody else, but since you're the only one here, you've got a week. Come up with 2 characters for next week. I will come up with
2 characters for next week's show.
All right. So, keeping kind of in the Halloween spirit. Matt had another story about a new Stephen King book.
Oh yeah. So apparently, Stephen King can now scare our children as well. With the new book, Charlie the Choo Choo. Sounds innocent enough, except it's A, written by Stephen King, and B, is it's kind of in the same universe as the Dark Tower. So if that's not terrifying, I don't know what it is. It's about an engineer named Bob who secretly has a train that is 100% sentient. I don't even know what that means. Sentient.
It has thoughts and feelings.
Gotcha. That's what I thought it meant, but I wouldn't sound stupid. The train is also Bob's best friend. While Bob's plight may be proof that he really needs to get out more. Who knows? Anywho, the story sounds fun, but the cover art is absolutely terrifying.
You know, Charlie kind of looks more high than terrified right now.
He does look very high, yes. By no means do I disagree with that. Yeah.
What I love about this, and I never read the Dark Tower series or anything like that, but the author name on the cover of Charlie the Choo Choo is Burl Evans. If you've read Dark Tower, you'll know that Burl Evans is a character in that book.
Right.
But for those who may not have known, Stephen King did kind of help out on the cover. He wrote an endorsement of the book, and it says, "If I were to ever write a children's book, it would be exactly like this." So,
very well.
But let's see, that will hit bookstores on November 22nd.
I may have to check out this kid's book. Maybe not for my kids, but
Yeah.
For something, sure.
So, let's see. Did you have any other stories?
I have two.
Okay.
Maybe just one, but two for sure. One for sure. Apple has delayed AirPods. They have not stated why or when. But AirPods are not going to be a thing just yet. Definitely not this month. So, it's kind of an odd thing for Apple. Because this doesn't almost ever happen. Especially something as simple as AirPods. Headphones that are connected wirelessly through their own technology is kind of...
Well, I mean, fans of Doctor Who will be quick to point out that, I can't remember the, what they were called, but, the Cybermen had, like, this thing where it was, like, something that you put on your ear, like an AirPod, it'd be, like, the new cool hip technology thing,
right.
And then it turns you into a Cyberman.
Well, there's that.
So
it may be for the best.
Yeah. So it's probably okay that AirPods aren't a thing yet.
Very well. The last thing I had was that Uber now owns the first self-driving truck. By truck, I mean big rig. Most self-driving vehicles they have out there right now that are like Uber-esque are just driving people to and from places. This one drove the first automated shipment of beer across the country. The driver, at one point for like a minute and a half, climbed out of his seat and went to the back and read a magazine because he could. So, if you ask me, it was a bad call. But self-driving cars, who knew?
Yeah.
Now big rigs, which is great because it's going to save companies a lot of money. But terrible because it's going to screw over like a lot of drivers.
A lot of drivers.
But this one it does require these to have drivers.
No.
So I mean, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just be a ridiculous expense that nobody can ever afford.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I guess short term, long term though, I could definitely see it going completely driverless. Because
true.
Because then, I mean, like, as it stands right now, and I don't know exactly how long, but truck drivers can only be on the road for so many hours in a day.
Right.
If you've got this driverless car, it can do whatever. Which, well, okay, I guess I take that back. I think you might always have to still have somebody there because that car, truck, whatever, will eventually need fuel.
Right. No, I think it's definitely going to need to be driven by somebody.
Yeah.
But it might change the whole trucking industry. Who
Yeah,
knows?
for sure.
Who knows? So there's that. Those are all the tech news things I had today.
You were going to talk about the Note 7, weren't you? A little bit?
I was. Thank you for reminding me. So I've been in a bit of a rough spot lately. I was super excited. Within the next couple weeks, I plan on getting the Note 7. Obviously, that won't be happening. As of 2 weeks ago, Samsung said, yeah, no, it's just not going to be a thing. Even to the extent of there will be no more Notes. We're just going to do something different altogether, which really sucks because I love my Note. But it's kind of put me in this weird place because I am a phablet guy. I love my tablet phone. And I don't know what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to Apple, but I don't know. They have the big phone now. I'm in a rough spot. What about you? I know you were talking about getting it as well.
Yeah.
Where are you post death of the Note 7?
I'm not super heartbroken of it because I was never a Note guy. I disagree with you. I'm not a huge fan of phablets.
Okay.
The Note 7 did intrigue me to the point where I was going to get one. And I was willing to be okay with the fact that it was going to be a slightly bigger phone than I like.
Sure.
To that, for that, I'm okay with it. Okay. Now that said, I will not be a bit surprised if, maybe maybe not next year, but definitely the year after, I wouldn't be surprised if they re-release a different Samsung phone that is identical to the Note but called something different.
I was thinking they were probably going to go like the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, or 8.5, or just something like that, just to make it time with the rest of their line.
Which is essentially what the Note is anyway. The
Right.
Note versus the Galaxy S, whatever, have always been fairly similar phones.
Well, here was the downside, though. The Note always came out 6 months after the new release of the new technology. So when you got the Note, it was still running on that same technology, but then 6 months later they came out with a new style for their new phones, and you're like, well, crap.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what they may be interested in doing is every time they release a new version of this phone, it's an updated version.
Yeah.
But that being said, now that I say that, they're probably not going to release it at the same time, so it's probably not going to be like the S8 Plus. It's probably going to be a different thing altogether still, but just still be like the Note.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I think for me, as far as the Samsung Galaxy brand just in general, I'll be very interested. I'm not going to completely say that my next phone is going to be an iPhone or an LG or anything like that. I'm not completely committing to that fact. Although the iPhone 7, for its faults, I still don't like the idea that it doesn't have a headphone jack. But through its faults, I think is a very good phone.
Sure.
And I could see myself getting one of those.
That's fair.
I've always said that I've never been an Apple hater. I had an iPhone for a while. But I decided to switch when my contract was up just because I wanted a different phone.
Right.
Not that I wanted a better phone. Because, to me, yeah, there are differences between Apple and Samsung, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, for the things that I want to do, 90% of them I can do either way.
Right. I think what I like most about my Samsung phone and the Android base is that I really feel like I can do a lot more with it.
You can do a lot more with it, but at the same time, I don't do a lot more with it.
That's fair, and I do.
Yeah.
I do. Like, my phones are like dead before they release the new one because I use it so much. So I guess that's kind of my thing. Now I am interested in the Google's the Pixel.
Yeah.
Look, if there's a phone out there that's going to run the Android operating system to its fullest, it's going to be Google.
Yeah.
Because that's who makes Android.
For me with the Pixel, and I haven't done a whole lot of research, but I remember reading somewhere where the camera on the Pixel isn't fantastic. For me, the camera is one of, if not the most important thing that I look for in a phone.
That's a valid point because I remember the days of my Nokia phone. A camera on that thing would have been ridiculous, stupid. Nobody would have thought of it. Then they started doing the flip phones, and then the flip phones had cameras, and we're like, oh my gosh, we can take pictures with our phone. And we didn't use it to our fullest then.
Right.
It wasn't until the dawn of the smartphone that people started saying, oh, I can upload something right from my phone that I take? Oh my gosh. And then from there, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a whole nother market. So yeah, I agree. I think the camera has to be fantastic. I don't do a lot of pictures or videos with my phone because I do that with my nicer cameras.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't. I'd like to look into that and see what's out there. So, but I agree with you. I think that the camera is very important. So I didn't know that. I'm still interested to find out more about it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So, all right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and talk Walking Dead now.
Okay, the first part of this is not going to be a spoiler. Before we get into the spoiler, we will let you know. So listen up for a few moments, then we're going into a spoiler session with The Walking Dead. So, first off, let's talk about the Parents Television Council. They feel as though The Walking Dead has crossed the line. Now, if you have seen the episode of The Walking Dead, you'll understand why. It was a bit rough. I watched it moments before we started the show, and it was the worst decision I've ever made. It made the first 20 minutes of the show really awkward for me. I'm not gonna lie. It does have a TVMA rating, so they can get away with a lot of stuff.
Well, between the MA rating and also their time slot, they can get away with a lot of stuff.
You're right. So
to kind of go off on that, and not to say what they did, but I think it's hilarious that they're able to get away with what they did with an MA rating, but they can't drop an F-bomb.
Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Seriously? Let them drop an F-bomb. Jesus.
But there might be children watching.
God. What is the point of having an MA rating? Look, with an MA rating, you can show boobs, okay? But you can't drop an F-bomb?
Yeah.
That's insane. In-friggin-sane.
So...
Gosh. But, okay, let's just jump right into this. Folks, this is the spoiler portion of this topic. This is our last topic. If you've listened thus far, thank you for listening. We've got a lot of other content for you on 217 Radio, but please, if you don't mind, stick with us for this talk. We're going to talk Walking Dead season premiere.
Yeah.
We're going to jump right in. Spoiler alert, here it goes.
Now, and I guess, and to kind of preface it too, I watched the season premiere. It was the first episode of The Walking Dead that I've watched since the first season.
Right.
So we're probably not the best people to talk about this with. We're probably
the absolute worst.
I don't know about the absolute worst, but...
I've seen the first 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more adept than maybe you, but...
Yeah.
But...
For me, I enjoyed the episode. We all knew what was coming. Negan, with his bat he named Lucille, we knew that he was going to kill somebody with that. We knew that it was going to be brutal, So he first attacks Abraham,
right,
and then
that bashing was not a big deal to me comparatively.
Yeah.
So, okay, the spoiler alert in this is that first Abraham is killed by the bat with bashing him in the head. Now, it started off pretty basic. A couple hits on the head. He's bleeding, but he's still talking. But then he goes full on psycho.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts literally just bashing it to nothing.
Yeah.
And they show it.
Yep.
And that I'm first that caught me completely off guard. I'm like, oh, holy crap. Okay, so
now the part of the video that the video didn't show. So after Abraham gets knocked off, Daryl tries to go after Negan.
Okay.
All right. So that's what kind of prompted Negan to go after Glenn the way that he did.
Okay.
Just to kind of prove a point that that's not going to fly.
Very well.
With him being in charge or whatever. And so, that's kind of why he chose somebody as unpredictable as Glenn. Now, if you are familiar with the comics at all, you know that in this scene Glenn was the only one to die.
Right.
And so I think that's why they made him second, because
I didn't expect it.
Yeah, because once they kill off Abraham, like, okay, all right, cool. Then Glenn is safe. Glenn's a popular character. He's been around since the beginning.
Right.
Nope.
No, not even close.
JK.
So let's talk about that. I didn't even finish it. Okay, I couldn't. It was rough. All right. So he starts hitting him in the head with this bat, with Lucille. And then, Glenn gets up, and there's, an eyeball, popping out. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't do this. Yeah. That was rough.
What's Glenn's favorite fast food restaurant?
Oh, God.
Popeyes.
I hate you so much. So much. Is that a meme now?
It is. It is. I can't take credit for that.
I knew it would be a
As
meme.
much as I want to. But, okay, so going back to the Parents Television Council, who have been a thorn in my side for years.
Sure.
I mean, them along with like 1 Million Moms, I mean, they find anything to complain about.
Right.
You know, I mean, yes, what you saw was brutal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a show about zombies called, well, not just about zombies, but I mean, they are kind of a focus.
Right.
But a show featuring zombies called The Walking Dead.
Sure.
Gotta kind of expect something like this. Well,
Sure.
maybe not quite like this.
See,
but
I guess here's the deal. Here's where I feel like everybody feels like they crossed the line. It's one thing, and we've seen it done before. Normal people who aren't zombies getting killed. It happens every season almost.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one thing to bash in the head of a zombie. Nobody thinks about it. It's whatever. The blood's not the same. The whole concept isn't the same. Now you're a good guy. You're going up against the bad guy. The zombies are the bad guy. What this show has been done really well is to establish that those are not the only bad guys. We've been in this world now that is in sense anarchy. This whole world is anarchy now, and it's not just the zombies you have to be afraid of. It's the crazy people who are trying to live in this zombie-filled world. And I don't know a lot about Negan. From what I saw, he's an amazing villain. I'm just going to throw it out there. So far, 10 times scarier than the governor ever was. And I've seen one episode for 5 seconds. So, so I don't know. I mean, wow. I agree, though. I think that, yeah, you desensitize yourself when you see a zombie getting destroyed. But then when it's an actual person, you're like, oh, my God. I'm like, holy crap. We can show, and this is where it comes down to. You can show a zombie whose face is completely torn off, but one eyeball pops out and people are freaking out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's legitimate. Like, that's legitimately what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. So, what's the guy's name? The PTC president, Tim Winters, he was talking about, like their stance against, The Walking Dead or whatever. And he said that it's not enough to change the channel, as some people like to advocate, because cable subscribers, regardless of whether they want AMC or to watch its programming, are still forced to subsidize violent content. This brutally explicit show is a powerful demonstration of why families should have greater control over the TV networks they purchase from their cable and satellite providers. That said, I mean, you can say that about anything.
Right.
For example, like I don't agree with hardly anything Pat Robertson and the 700 Club, say. But if you want to use that logic, I have to subsidize that and I still pay for that.
Right.
I don't complain about it.
Right. Well, the fact of the matter is AMC, I mean, that's standard in terms of
Don't mind me. Still tangled up.
That's standard.
What's for dinner, bud?
Right. That's standard in terms of television programming. I mean, it's not something you pay extra for. It just comes with your cable provider.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're like, oh, I spent extra to get AMC, or I'm spending this much money, I have to have it. It's whatever. It's cheap enough if you have basic cable. Or isn't it on free? No. Just kidding. So, okay, but you still pay for it. But really, are you really paying for it? Are you really paying for it?
Right. I mean, I guess by that logic, yeah, you kind of are. But maybe a whole penny goes to it.
Right.
Right.
I mean, monthly, maybe $1. You might spend $1 on AMC. God forbid, throw $1 away. You do it every day when you go out and buy something you don't need, or you drive the extra long way to work. I mean, we can pick so many things to complain about, and we're going to choose that The Walking Dead with a TVMA rating, we shouldn't have to have that on our station. Look, if you don't want to watch TVMA, then have a parental control set up on your television. Problem solved. Never go to that station.
Right.
Or go to that station and then make sure you're off of it before that show comes on so you're not giving it any ratings. Whatever you want to do. But the fact of the matter remains that you can't get upset about something like that when, A, that's the name of the show. The Walking Dead.
Right.
And B, nobody's complaining about... I mean, look, did you see the first episode? Where within the first, 10 minutes, the first dead body he sees is this lady in the hospital who you can kind of make out her face, but then her whole body is completely gone, short of bones and blood and nastiness. So that's okay, but we can't show somebody bashing somebody in the head.
Right.
I literally don't see the difference. I
Neither
feel
does Glenn.
Oh my gosh, he can kind of see. He got one eye. Oh, it's so bad. Why?
But anyway, back to your point though.
Right. Honestly, it's stupid.
Yeah.
If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Here's the deal. The reason it's on AMC is on every single basic cable lineup is because everybody watches it and nobody complains about it, and it's okay. If you don't want to watch it and you want better control, then just stop watching the channel altogether. They're going to get the hint, and it's going to become an extra channel that you have to pay for.
Right.
But because it's so heavily watched, often, it pays for itself. There's not a lot of coming out of your pocket to pay for it, and it's providing a lot of really good content for people. So there it is.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I do agree. I mean, that scene was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It pushed an envelope.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't think they crossed a line. I think you'd be crossing a line if you did something like this on, like an episode of Seinfeld or
something
if Kramer just loses it and bashes George Costanza's head in, and we see all that.
I would watch that.
But then yes, you have a valid point.
Right.
That shouldn't have happened.
It's not the freaking Disney Channel, though, people.
Right.
Getting all worked up about it. Anyways, no, I'm with you on that. I think it's stupid. So, yeah. Man. Freaking people. Idiots. Anyways, so that's that. Did you have anything else?
Not really. I mean, I kind of feel bad we didn't talk about the Nintendo Switch at all.
Dang it.
But it is kind of that time.
Man, it's not the end of the world.
It's not.
I will say the Nintendo Switch looks interesting, but I don't think it's the most amazing thing to ever come out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not a gamer. I mean, I've talked about that a lot. So, I mean, for me, yeah, it looks cool. I like the idea of it, but I don't think that... I highly doubt that I'm going to go out and buy one.
Well, I don't even own a Wii U. I mean, I own a Wii, and I never play it.
Yeah.
So, the only saving grace that company has is Mario. Yeah. In terms of gaming, I'm sorry. That's how I feel. Anyways... Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Geek Awakens. Don't forget to check out all the other exciting content at 217radio.com. And we'll be back next week, same time, same place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's like Mitch's favorite part of the song.
No, that is my favorite part of the show, period. It's really the only reason why I come back every week.
That's fair. I'm not even upset about it. I get it. Anyways, so, look... We're going to get off here. Like I said, check us out next week, same time, same place. Happy Halloween.
Yes.
We won't see you before then. So have a great and safe Halloween, and we'll catch you in the holiday season next week. Because everybody knows that starting Tuesday, it's Christmas music all the time.
Pretty much.
Son of a bitch. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.